So today's On This Day includes two particular drivers who I wanted to talk about very quickly. One of them was Ricardo Rodriguez, a very, very talented Mexican racing driver, born in 1940 in Mexico, obviously. Now he was going to be a great racing driver. He was only 21 when he sadly lost his life. But he was a great racing driver. On his very first race in Formula 1 for Ferrari, he qualified second place, ahead of the world champion after that race, Phil Hill. And that alone proves how good he was. He only made a couple of F1 starts, but he got points in most of them. He got 4 points to be exact in his Formula 1 career. Nowadays it'd be more. And yeah, he was a great driver. The Mexican Grand Prix track is named after him and his his brother Pedro, hermano Pedro. I don't speak Spanish. And the second driver I wanted to talk about was Ronnie Peterson. And Ronnie Peterson was a bit different to Ricardo Rodriguez because he actually got to fill out a much bigger career than Ricardo did. Because Ricardo lived only 22, unfortunately. Ronnie lived to 34. Both of them sadly passed away in accidents. So in Ronnie's career, so he made his F1 debut in 1970, 9 years after Ricardo did, and he took his first win in 1973. But if you want to go back to his arguably his best season, you have to go back to 1971, when he finished runner-up in the Formula 1 World Championship driving for March. He didn't win a single race, however, he had enough podiums that he picked up enough points to finish runner-up. And this earned him a move to Lotus 2 years later. He won a couple of Grand Prix in his first year, and then went on to win a couple more races for them. He then moved back to March in 76 and won in Italy. He was always very good around Italy, and took 2 wins in 1978 when he moved back to Lotus. And it was at the Italian Grand Prix that he unfortunately lost his life, because in the Italian Grand Prix he started 5th or 6th on the grid, and he was fighting with James Hunt. So basically the race started and he didn't get a particularly good start. Ricardo Patrese got a really good start, James Hunt got a decent start, and they were 3 wide. Hunt realised that Patrese was coming alongside and was shocked and turned in and hit Peterson. And Peterson's car went into the barriers and caught a light. He had severe burns and it looked like he would survive, but he wouldn't race again. But unfortunately fate would have its way, because overnight he had a lot of problems with his kidneys, and unfortunately he passed away the next day, on the Monday, in the early hours of the morning, because of failed surgery. So that's two of F1's two great drivers in Formula 1, two of the best from their nation. Of course, Mexico have only ever really had 3 good drivers, which are the hermanos Rodriguez and Sergio Perez. And then you have Ronnie Peterson, the greatest Swedish F1 driver of all time. Not the greatest Swedish-born F1 driver, that honor goes to Keke Rosberg, but yeah. Ronnie Peterson was a great driver. He won, I think, 11 Grand Prix. Ricardo never won a Grand Prix, but he was definitely going to in the future. And he's definitely one of those would-have-beens, a bit like Joe Bianchi, a bit like Antoine Hubert, a bit like Stefan Beloff. That's what I was thinking of. Racing's dangerous, basically. It was really dangerous back then. 2 great drivers lost their lives 16 years apart. Completely different age. Ronnie was younger, but lived much longer. and lived much longer, I should say. Ricardo was just 22 and Ronnie was 34. I mean, that's not an age to pass away at. I mean, yeah. Thank you all for watching. That was today, February 14th. I'll be back with the next one tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you then. Thank you.